You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Well, hello there, and welcome to the Red Moon Podcast. You just love to see that, don't you?
Yes.
You just love to, last week we had the freaking video pause right before we started the show, and then it just cuts into the intro, and now you don't hear music, our intro music.
Sitting around like, what's missing here?
What's going on? Oh, but I am one of your hosts. Well, hey, you should be, because we always are here to entertain and please you guys.
That's right.
Music or not. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host. He's back!
Sean Sebastian.
From Washington, D.C.
Yes.
How was your trip?
It
you
was
thoroughly
good.
enjoyed the rest of it?
I did. It was a great trip. I got to meet the president. We had coffee. It was
Oh,
great.
wow.
Yeah, we discussed some things.
Some things like the wall? Is that
it's-
coming anytime soon?
It's in the works.
Huh.
Yeah.
We're building a wall at work, and it's faster than his.
Good.
Just saying. And our other host,
Keith Cheatham. Ooh.
Quiet.
I don't know if it was scary or sexy.
I don't know. It
I
matched our
we
intro.
I thought we were going without sound this week.
Yeah. You know what we're going with, though, this week? Oh,
What?
my gosh.
We got some
Oh, my-
peanut
hold on.
butter pie.
Oh,
American
yes.
pie.
Put that, shove it in your mouth hole. There you go. Yeah. Now swallow it.
It's so good. Peanut butter
Mm.
pie. Oh, my god.
Compliments of Brandon's wonderful
My
neighbor.
fantastic neighbors. I can't. This is insane, guys. They have just outdone themselves yet again.
Not only did we have peanut butter, but they made us not just some. They made a whole rack of ribs
Whole
for
rack of
everybody,
ribs.
for
Yes.
each person. It was amazing.
it was ridiculous.
I didn't think we were going to make it to this show.
No.
The technical difficulties is because we were half comatose while doing it.
Pretty much.
Right.
I was in a food
It's not
coma.
Premier problem. It's our problem.
It's
for
a
sure.
bowel problem. I'm telling you. So there's going to be burps.
Farts.
And just
There's
like
already been a
farts.
I
couple
feel
of
like you
those.
didn't have these issues when you used Final Cut, Brandon.
I didn't. Well, and that was back during the Steve Jobs Apple.
That
Yeah.
was.
Now they're trying to sweep up Oscar noms and stuff.
do
and
miss-
I don't know.
I miss
We'll get there.
Aperture very much.
Yeah.
Aperture
Oh.
was the bomb.
You
And
enjoyed that?
I loved Aperture.
Really?
That was
He
the
loved
best
it.
editing program
For
for
photos?
Yes.
Even better than Photoshop?
Oh yeah.
Well, Lightroom, I guess. Would
It
be
was way better than
comparable.
Lightroom. Yes.
Okay.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
Well, we got a great show for everybody out there.
Are
we
you
got
sure?
a fantastic show. I have pie.
Okay.
I mean, come on. And a rack
right.
of ribs before this?
I know it.
I mean, it's fantastic. It's
sweating.
already.
I'm hot.
Yeah.
I'm full.
We're just if we fall over halfway through the show,
We're going to
just-
take
yeah.
naps.
Yeah, we're gonna crawl. We're gonna take turns just crawling under this table and sleeping. So
Well, I'm hoping that we don't have any more technical difficulties, especially with sound, because we got a movie review to do. I checked it. It should work.
Okay.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be great. Let's roll the review.
Let's
I did
do it.
Not hear it.
Excuse me.
Nostalgia and franchise fatigue, two sides on a scale of the constant Hollywood grind. Nostalgia brings in lots of cash, while franchise fatigue drives it away. Finding that balance, though, of nostalgia and something unique can keep fatigue away and the money rolling in. But that's easier said than done. With Hollywood leaving no stone unturned, I suppose it was only a matter of time before we saw a new Shaft film. And it is here. But in this day and age of political correctness, is the world still clamoring for the black private dick who's a sex machine to all the chicks? Directed by Tim Story and starring Jesse T. Usher as John Shaft III, son of John Shaft II, played again in this film by Samuel L. Jackson, who is the nephew of Richard Roundtree's original John Shaft. The film continues on the legacy of Shaft by once again introducing a new generation. Shaft, the longest-running African-American character, gets to be unique in this way. Instead of characters like Bond, who swap actors and have little connectivity amongst films. Shaft III, however, is not like his father, who abandoned his son years ago to keep him out of harm's way. This Shaft, a computer analyst for the FBI, despises guns and always plays by the rules. But when a close friend dies under strange circumstances, Shaft 3 must enlist the help of Shaft 2 to uncover the truth. The rest of the film plays like a buddy cop movie, where the young rookie and seasoned vet must learn from each other and work together to come out on top. Jackson's Shaft is rude, crude, and violent, while Usher's Shaft is calm and quicker to negotiate than to fight. Both must learn that it takes a bit of each other's methods to get the job done, and along the way they'll find help from Shaft 1, reprised by Richard Roundtree. Yes, we get 3 Shafts for the price of 1, and honestly seeing all 3 iterations of the character on screen is a lot of fun. The rest of the film, though, is kind of a mess. Let's face it, no one wants to see Shaft light, which is what Usher's Shaft is. The original Shaft is the film that put blaxploitation films on the map. It didn't quite invent the genre, but it did legitimize it. Sex and violence are Shaft's bread and butter, and when John Singleton made 2000's Shaft with Samuel L. Jackson, he took these things to the max. But Tim's story tones down much of what made Shaft, Shaft, in order to tell a father-son buddy cop comedy. It's fun for sure, but not really Shaft. Likewise, the character himself is done a disservice twice, making Jackson a deadbeat dad, and then, spoiler alert, revealing that Roundtree Shaft was really Jackson's father all along, not his uncle, thus making him a deadbeat father as well. This is actually joked about several times throughout the movie, and while I admired the film for being brave enough to make jokes about guns, violence, sex, and many things most would shy away from today, it was one joke that I thought fell flat as it ruins the integrity of the character. So what we are left with is a mixed bag. Anytime Jackson is on screen, the film is tons of fun. And likewise, once Roundtree shows up, it's on an entirely different level. But the rest of the film is just mediocre. It's an alright buddy cop comedy, but it's not a particularly good Shaft film. That doesn't offer the franchise anywhere to really go. I'd love to see another Shaft film starring Jackson, but eventually someone will need to pick up the reins, much as Jackson did from Roundtree. And I'm sorry, Jessie T. Usher just isn't a bad mother shut your mouth. I give Shaft 2.5 out of 4 stars.
I need some milk. Oh, hey, whoa, guys, we're back.
What?
We're back.
Oh, it's over? The review's over?
Whoa, yep.
Oh, okay.
2.5.
2.5
out of 4 stars.
Yeah,
2.5 out of 4 stars for Shaft.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
Shaft,
Keith, you want to bring us back?
Yeah, you want to talk about it?
Oh, wait a minute. We already did that.
Yeah.
Hold on. This is what we're talking about, Shaft?
Shaft.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not asleep because of the movie. It wasn't the movie that was that bad.
I didn't even
No,
see it, so I don't
no,
know.
it was okay. It was okay. No, the ribs were much better, but
that's why we're asleep. I mean, again, a shout out.
Carb coma.
yeah,
Whew,
man,
Brian,
meat coma.
Kristen, Brian, you've got a lovely, lovely wife, sir. I'm
Yes,
telling
you
you
do.
She has just spoiled
She's
you.
a keeper.
I'm telling you.
the touch.
You know what? You know what's not a keeper though?
What?
This movie.
Shaft. It wasn't. I can't.
That's not what she said.
Yeah. Well, the poster for the film promised more Shaft than you can handle,
Oh.
but it was not really.
Wow.
I could have handled a lot more Shaft.
I bet you could.
No doubt about that.
We're going to find out next week.
No, like I said in the review, definitely the end where like all 3 Shafts are in it. Like that was awesome. So they delivered on that, but the film it didn't really feel like a Shaft film. I mean, it was okay. It was more of like a buddy cop comedy with, Samuel L. Jackson being John Shaft II, and then of course, Jessie T. Usher, is it Jesse or John? Ruining butchering the guy's
It doesn't
name.
matter now.
It
obviously.
doesn't. Yeah.
You said he's not worthy, so
He's
I
not,
guess it
he
doesn't
was not.
matter.
Well, because the whole point, he's supposed to be like this by the book FBI analyst, and then of course Shaft is the detective who plays by his own rules, and they have to learn to work together. And it's like it's kind of a stereotypical like buddy cop type thing, anyways. And when Samuel L. Jackson took over the role of Shaft in 2000. It still was. It was a new Shaft, but it still felt. It was more over the top. The action was more over the top. Everything was more over the top. But that fits Samuel L. Jackson, so it was unique and different. But it was still Shaft. This, it's like, yeah, you still have the over-the-topness from Samuel L. Jackson, and every scene he's in is hilarious and great. But where do you go? I mean, yeah, if you make another one, Samuel L. Jackson, that's fine. But eventually, someone's going to have to take over. And I'm sorry, John Shaft III is not. He's
not looking to fulfill that role.
He's not Shaft.
Yeah.
And I mean, when Richard Roundtree comes in,
I can't stop.
it's like that is definitely Shaft. And I don't know. It's just a lot of critics have complained because they feel like this film is not PC enough. Like, it just breaks too many taboos. Like, we can't believe Samuel L. Jackson did this, or they said that in the movie, or the fact that, he was a deadbeat dad. It's like,
but your complaint's the exact opposite.
But my complaint was the exact opposite. It was that there wasn't enough of like what made Shaft. I mean, like I said at the beginning of the review, I mean, the lyric that I quoted perfectly, the black private dick who's a sex machine to all the chicks. Where is that at? I mean, no, that's not PC, but that's Shaft. And it's like, you can't neuter the character. I don't know. I mean,
well,
it's
if you're going to, it's fine if you want to do that, but then don't call it Shaft. Just make a whole nother story.
So,
but they're trying to bank off the name.
They want to bank off the name.
And granted, they're also obviously trying to steer the series into a different direction.
They still had, like I said, I appreciated the jokes about the guns and about this. I mean, they do have some non-PC jokes in there, but that's also kind of to contrast with this new Shaft, who is by the book. And it's like, well, you have the old Shaft, but now we have John Shaft III, who's more by the book. And it's like, it's kind of like they're saying, it's like, well, we don't need this anymore because that's uncouth. We need more of. And yeah, the point is they had to learn from each other. Like, you have to go by the book somewhat, but at the same time, there's a point where you have to pick up a gun and fight.
Yeah.
But still, it was just kind of a neutering of the series to me. So it was okay.
Well, I guess I'm gonna pass on it.
I never saw the first one. So
talking about the one with Samuel L. Jackson or Roundtree? Are you talking about the?
Yeah, 19s.
No, I've seen the 70s, but I've never seen.
What'd you think of that?
Oh, well,
one?
the 70s, that is the first, because even 2000.
No,
Shaft
I'm saying
picks up from,
I never saw the one with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
So
even that's
no
still
idea.
a sequel to the Richard Roundtree ones.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, because Richard Roundtree's John Shaft the first.
Is Samuel L. Jackson's the first Shaft? Is that like a decent film? Or?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's different, but like I said, it's decent. It's not bad. It's definitely better than this. I mean, he was definitely, I think, when Samuel L. Jackson picked up the role and became John Shaft II, from it was definitely something different and unique from Richard Roundtree's version, but it still felt like Shaft. And of course, Richard Roundtree was in the 2000 version, and he was in this one.
What does Shaft feel like?
Well, it feels like this. It's a blaxploitation film. The original ones were, and I mean, here's the thing.
Oh, I thought you were. I was wondering if you were going to actually explain what.
He's not going to indulge me.
No, but Quentin Tarantino's actually really good at making those style films, like blaxploitation, which he's
Django Unchained.
He's actually gotten Jackie Brown.
Jackie Brown.
But he's actually gotten flack for it because he's a white man making those movies. And
which
you
is
can't
funny
do that.
because Samuel L. Jackson
defended
is
him.
one of his best supporters.
Yeah, he defended him.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's funny. It's like, where is that style in this movie? It's not there. So it's kind of, and again, I guess that's them trying to still be more PC. It's like, we can't do that anymore. But
I will say it's disappointing considering when I saw the trailer, I was actually hyped because of not the original, the second, in the series with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
And I just remember being young when it came out, and it was like,
anything, any scene he's in is great.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the original. Yeah, that's the theme song.
Yeah.
I mean, Isaac Hayes made the original theme song in 1971 with that movie, and I mean, it's just one of those characters that, especially because he is iconic, especially to African American people. I mean, it's kind of a shame that it's like, I mean, because you've seen it with, I mean, James Bond has ups and downs and this and that, but. And I mean, it's going to happen, but at least it's like, try to stay true to the character.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree. I agree completely. So 2.5 out of 4 stars for Shaft.
Yeah,
kind of not really worth it. Just pass it.
Yeah. I mean,
Toy
like
Story
I said,
4 is coming out. Child's Play is coming out.
Yeah.
There's so much
something
coming
else
out.
to see.
Films coming.
All right. Well, then I think
Spider-Man's coming out.
Spider-Man
and you know what else
Far
is
From
coming
Home.
out?
Oh, What else could be coming out? Keith, I think you're alluding to
I
something.
think Avengers Endgame is
What?
coming out again.
Again?
It's barely even left theaters. I mean,
Wow.
there's still like 1 or 2 showings around.
Yeah,
town,
there's
so it's
technically
like,
that's what I thought was funny is this headline
it's
comes
like we're
out.
gonna re-release it like a week after it's
Yeah.
no longer in
Yeah.
theaters.
And I'm like, we're not even out of its theatrical run yet.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but yes, that is our big headline topic of the week. So, Avengers Endgame is heading back to theaters
Yep.
with additional footage. Really, not a lot. It's just post-credit footage.
yeah.
They've already explained that it's like no. There's not going to be. I mean, it's already
It's
3
not a,
hours
it's not
long.
A, yeah, it's not a
it's
longer
not
cut.
an extended
So,
cut.
yeah.
But yeah, they said they basically said it's going to be like a deleted scene after the credits, and then they said there might be like a few like Easter eggs and surprises for what's coming in the future, which has me intrigued because I'm wondering what they might do with that. But apparently all of it will be kind of after the credits. So like I guess after the credits they'll show the deleted scene, and it'll
So-
probably be like maybe Kevin Feige or somebody with a clip it of what's to come or
Yeah.
something. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
would be cool.
I mean, I don't know.
I've heard that he's getting very excited about X-Men. That he's been talking a lot about what his plans are for
Mhm.
X-Men.
He has.
So that's maybe I would love to hear. Even if it doesn't have anything to do with the Avengers, I wish it was just Marvel.
Well,
what's
and
coming
that's kind
through
of the
Marvel.
interesting thing is, I mean, when the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer dropped after Endgame released, and even threw up the whole spoiler alert.
Oh, even
warning.
that was
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, but it was awesome because it was like they were actually taking into account everything that had happened in
Yeah.
Endgame and
Yeah.
how it was affecting this next movie to get you hyped
Yeah.
for it.
Well,
But
I
what
love
I'm
that.
intrigued by is like if they already had that in mind with just the trailer for Spider-Man,
Mhm.
I'm just like, so what else do they have in mind, like you said, to allude to what else is
Yeah.
even in the bigger picture, in the
Right.
grander scheme of things with the Marvel Universe and what's to come
it's
next?
interesting because like with the trailer for Spider-Man, the one that came out after Endgame, one, it showed the ramifications of Endgame, which I loved because it's not like, oh, we're just getting another Spider-Man movie. No, it actually deals with the fact that that happened.
Mhm.
And two, even that trailer with them introducing the idea of like, Mysterio and like this multiverse.
Multiverse,
Yeah, it's like that's already setting up things for the future. So, like you said, with whatever's they're going to show at the end of the credits for this re-release, it's like it makes me. It was one thing like when Endgame happened, it was a definitive end to that story, definitely.
Yes.
But you had to wonder, like, well, where's Marvel going to go? And it's like, well, obviously they do have a plan.
Right.
It's not just like
And
okay,
again,
yeah.
it just
Yeah.
it hits all the right notes of with the Spider-Man trailer and this now re-release, which has another tongue-in-cheek, little jab.
yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to get to that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it really is smart and genius marketing for them to hit these notes in such a way to say, guys, don't worry. Like, this was a definitive end to the last 22 films and to the last decade.
But we're about to do
Yeah.
22 more.
Exactly. Exactly. So more power to them. Like I'm hyped even just for this I am already on the bandwagon. We've tried to make it happen here on the RMPodcast. But we are definitely saying, yes, go see it again in theaters.
Yes.
If you've not already
Yes.
seen it or if you've seen it 2 or 3 times, go see it again in theaters.
I just
check it out.
You know,
we need to beat Avatar.
when they announced they were going to re-release it, my immediate reaction was just to laugh. I
Oh,
mean, I could not
yeah.
help because Avatar needs to be dethroned, and the fact that both it and Titanic both had re-releases, like they were both in theaters twice.
Yep.
Titanic was in it 3 times.
Yeah.
3D.
Yeah.
For 3D.
And in order and
Yeah.
and each time they were in it, it added on to their tally, and
Yep.
so it's like, you know what? Yes, it would have been that much more amazing if Avengers Endgame had beaten Avatar in one run, but I see no shame in having 2 runs because if Titanic can have 3 and Avatar
right.
can have
Yep.
2, it's like, you know what?
Damn right.
Fair game. Fair game.
Absolutely. And that again,
What are you going to do when James Cameron re-releases Avatar to get people ready for
Well,
it's owned by
fine.
Disney now,
Go ahead.
so-
Go ahead,
Oh, that's-
James.
yeah,
Go
true,
ahead, James,
but-
because guess what? Yeah, for one, Disney's not going to do it. Exactly, because they won't want to compete. Plus, Endgame not only is a more worthy title, we've already explained that
Oh, yeah.
dozens of times on the show, but go ahead and do that, James, because guess what? Nobody freaking cares about Pandora and Avatar. Okay? It's off everybody's radar. Nobody cares about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, Pandora, Avatar,
Hey, they're
whatever.
coming out eventually
All right,
yeah,
one day.
eventually.
In
Yeah.
like 2083.
Just like our website. So I am
But
absolutely
do you feel
hyped.
that this re-release is just simply to dethrone Avatar? It's not a money-making thing for Marvel and Disney, or marketing thing
I think
as
it's
much
both.
as it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's all of the above. I really do think it's literally to yes. I mean, here's the thing: they have $180 million still to earn domestically
Yeah.
to dethrone Star Wars.
Yeah.
Don't think that's going to happen.
No.
But it's only $45 million worldwide that it has to dethrone Avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can do
for
that.
the top spot
Yeah.
of all cinema history.
Yeah.
So for that alone, I think they were kind of like, yeah, we'll do a
can
little
do this.
re-release. And again, for them to add fan service by saying we're going to use this as an opportunity to kind of roll out a little bit more of a teaser for
Yep.
all of our really hardcore fans out there to show them what's coming in the Marvel universe. I think it's absolutely ingenious.
It's smart in a couple of ways, yeah. Because one, you're setting up the future of Marvel in some way. I mean, we don't know how, and it could be like the most minimalist thing ever, but it's still a tease to what's to come. And two, it also like leads right into because Spider-Man: Far From Home is supposed to kind of pick up right after Endgame, so it's kind of a smart marketing move for that as well. As like, well, Spider-Man comes out like a week after we're re-releasing Endgame, so
And
we kind of set up for Spider-Man.
But let's just say let's say they bring it back out and just for instance, it's in IMAX again. So do you think it's worth another $18
I
or
would
$20 a ticket just to see
Yep.
6 minutes of extra stuff?
I would go just to see the movie again anyway. So the extra stuff's just like a cherry on top.
Right.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, that's the main thing for me too. It's
For
like
me, I've seen it 3 times, and I'm just kind of like, once it's ran its course, like I'm ready to just buy it in 4K Blu-ray.
well,
and
okay. Here's the thing: you
love it
saw
at
it
home.
3 times,
Yeah.
and I only saw it the one
Yeah, I
time.
only got to
even
see
though
it
I'm
I
touting
know,
on
I'm
here, hey, go
guilty.
see it.
It's like I saw the other Avengers
saw-
like a couple of times.
yeah.
I saw the first Avengers like 4 times in theaters.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of mad at myself for not seeing Endgame more. But
then
I mean,
again,
only-
it's a 3-hour film. It's
yeah.
a longer film.
the problem wasn't so much the length as much as there's just been so many huge releases this year.
Yes.
So
Well, and even that's the incredible thing. We pulled it up on the show back when we first
Oh,
reviewed
yeah.
it of how Avatar was uncontested for so
it
long.
had no competition.
This just fell out of the top 10 in week 7.
Yeah.
It's been in the
That's
top
crazy.
10 box
Yeah.
office for 7 weeks alone.
Yeah.
And
you've
Avatar,
had-
but you've had tons of
Yeah, oh
huge
yeah,
releases
yeah.
since then. So for this thing to have held on for as long as it has, still technically not be completely out of the box office, and to re-release, and like I said,
and to be that close to the
Yeah.
number 1 spot against all that competition.
yes, and also I think too that it kind of is, and I don't think they really planned this. I think they planned it more for hype for Spider-Man: Far From Home, Far From Home. But it's like, I don't see it as them being greedy at all, because for one, if people are going to go see it, they'll go see it. They've
You
already
think
made
it's
a crap
Is it a
ton
full
of money.
run, or is it just? I mean, really, if you said they only need 44 million or 45 million, that's one weekend with.
You hope.
I
I
mean,
mean, that's
that's-
one. No,
It
that's
is-
one
it is a-
weekend when a fantastic opening weekend for a subpar movie.
Yeah.
For it to get 44 million. Here's the thing: it's not going to take out as many theaters as it did when it first released.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
and you had probably 3 or 4 theaters taken up alone in each theater.
Yeah.
If you had 10 or 12 screens.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to come out on 1 or 2 two screens at most in a typical theater.
What are they calling it? Are they tacking anything onto the title?
Just
to-
Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
didn't
I
know
mean,
if
it's
they-
just you just know that it's re-released with
okay.
extra footage.
Hmm.
But I think it's also kind of cool because it's like it doesn't seem greedy to me because it being so close to Spider-Man. It's like it's not going to steal any of Spider-Man's thunder.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, Spider-Man's already projected to probably launch and release with about $150 million.
That's what makes me
weekend.
nervous. Is like, yeah, we hope it can get that 45 million it needs to beat Avatar, but I mean, you still have Toy Story 4 still going to be a major player
Yeah.
When's it coming back
Um,
out?
at the end of this month.
At the end of this month?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
next week, I believe.
Okay.
Next
Yeah.
week.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's close because Spider-Man comes out July 2nd, like right before the 4th
Yep.
of July. So
Yeah.
you'll have Toy Story 4 will still be a major contender, then Spider-Man will be right after. So
Mm-hmm.
it's still going to have because people are going to take their kids to see Toy Story, their
Oh,
kids
yeah.
to see Spider-Man. It's like, where are you going to fit in a movie a lot of people have already seen?
Jeez.
So
Yeah.
it's still going to have tough
And
competition.
It's all Disney owned.
Yeah.
That's what
I know.
blows my mind.
I know, all of
And then
it.
at the end of the year we have Star Wars. So
Which is
Oh,
insane.
Disney's
Crazy.
making bank.
I
They're
know.
loving it. They're loving
yeah.
it.
that's
And their
crazy.
streaming service launches this year.
Mm.
I mean, it's insane.
Actually,
it's crazy.
I'm excited about that just because like the Mandalorian.
Or wait, is it this
Loki-
year or
I
is
think
it
it's
2020?
I think it's 2020.
It's 2020. My bad.
But you got the Mandalorian, you have Loki, you have Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision. So
Well,
I mean, there's all kinds of
Mandalorian
stuff.
is supposed to be one of the. That's going to be one of the things that launches
Yes,
with the service.
that and I think Loki are the
so
two series.
it's gonna right off the bat you're gonna
Yeah.
have this amazing Star Wars
so
series.
I'm excited about like all of these that they announced, and it's like, man, I don't really
$7 a month.
need another. Well, actually, and that's not bad compared to other streaming
it's
services.
not.
No, I mean
That's a
when you
steal.
take into account that the majority of the crap that you're already watching
Is
on Netflix
Disney.
is gonna go to Disney now.
Yeah.
Then you're. We'll be getting it.
Yeah.
If
And
you-
not only
if
that,
you
but
have
I mean,
kids, you're
Netflix
gonna have to get
is
it.
operating in the red.
Yeah.
And they have been for now just to get original shows and original content.
And they're losing a lot of I mean, and it's not just Disney, because now AT&T and Warner Brothers are trying to launch their own streaming service with all of the content they own.
Yeah.
So Hulu and Netflix are losing those.
And then you have
it's
Apple
like,
launching their stuff.
That's it. I was gonna
So,
say with Apple
competition's
coming
getting
in,
fierce.
yeah. So with Apple coming into the game, they've already announced that they want to launch at least 6 Oscar hopefuls
Yeah,
a year.
Wow.
That's I mean,
Did anybody
that's
tell Steven
pretty
Spielberg
ballsy.
that? You know, I know he's still partnered with Apple. I mean, he may
Aren't
not
those
approve.
films gonna have to show in theaters though?
Yes, they have to be in theaters
Yeah.
for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you think that's even possible?
Yeah.
6 Oscar hopeful contenders a
I don't-
year.
I mean,
Do you
I
think
don't
that's
know.
going to propel Apple TV Plus?
There's so
forward?
many artsy movies on Netflix that I think if they were in theaters and had the opportunity, they would be contenders or that they would be considered. So I don't really think it's that far fetched, but 6 a year. That's
That's a lot.
yeah. I just don't. See
Well,
how
I
they're
mean,
gonna
it
be able
depends
to do
if
that.
Apple has the money to throw
Well,
at it. Then
that's true.
Well, and they did say they actually put these. They talked about the budget of these movies is going to be around 30 to 40 million.
Yeah, they were going to.
So they're not looking at producing these huge, wide epics.
no,
they're
want
looking
to
at
be like
smaller, intimate,
independent. Yeah.
Okay.
film production. So with that
Things
being
like
the case,
like Ex Machina was, which that was an
Yeah.
excellent movie, and
Yeah.
I think it was like a $70 million budget. So even that was a little bit higher. than
I'll
Apple
be
was.
honest with you. I really do think Apple, and I'm not just an Apple fanboy. You know, I'd still
Not
claim
anymore.
that status.
Yeah.
I used to be hardcore with Steve Jobs days.
Yeah,
But still, I will say this: while they've gotten a little bit, you know, to where they shoot off the hip and shoot off the cuff, and they're not as, I think, polished.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I think with like, especially their services, they've learned that subscription-based models are really, I mean, the way to generate consistent revenue, and to ultimately make sure that it's like, okay, you know, you're always going to get this kind of money churning and get it into your coffers. So with that being the case, I think they will make sure that the content they produce is up to par and standard with a lot of what other people would either pass by or pass up and say, well, we can't make a lot of money on that. Whereas Apple, I think, is purely going to go for recognition standpoint. I think they're ultimately going to get into this game to produce enough content that makes it, you know, it's warranted to buy or subscribe to the service.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's like because you're getting the type of quality, smaller releases
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
don't get. I mean, look,
And I
I mean,
appreciate that.
I do
And-
too.
I
I,
mean,
was like, look, that's one gap I feel like you don't have fulfilled right now with all the streaming services. A lot of it is, yeah, original content here and there, but it's thrown in with a lot of noise.
Oh yeah.
Whereas I think Apple may be trying to just hone that image a little bit more and say, we want original content, but that's all we're going to give you. You know, you can go on there and buy movies. You can do like your normal
Well,
iTunes.
YouTube tried that too,
purchases.
and you see what happened. We see what happened with
Yeah.
them.
But I don't think YouTube was as strategic about what they were buying, and also,
The only thing YouTube had was Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
literally, that's it.
and they they only backed up for that. they ended up giving all of their content away for free as long as you watch their ads.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so basically, it's like the rest of YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Nope, I have no problem with that.
but
But Apple used to do that with their products. You know, the product used to be, if you compared, let's say, an iMac to a PC, you could get twice the specs for half the price if you went PC. But you didn't have anything that was as polished and as sleek and sexy, and the quality wasn't there. Like
And
it
you
was
knew if you
with the
bought
Apple
a Mac,
product.
it was going to last you 10,
That's
20
right.
years.
And to see them doing that with film, or at least hopefully,
Yeah.
spending a little bit less money and you know, not making these huge budget films and
But
throwing
really being
everything
particular.
in, but being particular and putting the quality there. That's going to be interesting if
if it
do
follows
that.
through, yeah.
That's right.
And
if
I
they
will
do.
say, through the things that I have seen teased, even Steven Spielberg's content.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll
Here's
watch
the-
it because
exactly.
he makes
No,
good
he
stuff.
is,
Right.
yeah.
I just give him a hard time because, you know,
He needs to eat his own
yeah,
words.
Streaming services shouldn't be allowed to have
Yep.
Oscars, but I'm going to work with Apple,
Oh,
who's trying
I'm
to get
sure
6.
something he makes for Apple's going to be Oscar worthy.
Yeah.
So
And Oscar nominated.
Yeah.
That's
No,
the thing.
no.
It'll
Yeah.
be Oscar
If
nominated.
he gets an Oscar nomination for something he makes for Apple TV Plus, I'd be like, no, Steven, you deserve an Emmy, not an Oscar.
well, and he would probably argue the same because
Yeah.
he's producing a show,
Yeah,
a little mini
I could see him winning and getting up there and be like, I don't deserve this because
It would be like when Marlon Brando accepted the Oscar, or didn't accept
No,
the
he
Oscar
didn't. Yeah,
because
yeah.
it was for the Native American
Yes,
tribes.
yes.
But no, so the thing is, though, is with Spielberg, I mean, being on there, and of course other notable, they've got all these celebs and whatnot, but it's like, if they do win an Oscar, it's like, I mean, that puts them in a whole different category. It's like, now they become a heavy hitter.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you think that alone could propel Apple TV Plus forward in terms of being a serious streaming service offering?
Well, yeah. I mean, anything these streaming services, these companies that are starting these things, anything that they do that gets people's attention, and it's going to do what you said. It's going to propel them forward. But I still don't see. I just don't see Apple TV Plus or whatever they're going to call it. I don't see it topping Netflix as far as subscribers goes. I think Netflix has so many years under their belt with millions of subscribers. I think even with that content, people aren't going to be able to afford it because they're not going to give up Netflix for Apple TV Plus, and they're not going to be able to afford both, just as a lot of people aren't even going to be able to afford DC's thing.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Which we're already starting to see. We're
yeah,
starting to see
yeah.
trouble with these other smaller streaming services
Yeah.
that have very specific,
Well, yeah, when
Yeah.
you're, I think when
very
you're too
specific fan
specialized,
bases. Yeah.
Like if you're only like I think DC's streaming service was a mistake. I think with AT&T and the whole Warner Brothers deal and them wanting to make their own streaming service, I could see easily, since Warner Brothers owns DC, folding that
Put it
into
all together.
one, because that would work. Like Disney isn't making a Star Wars streaming service or a Marvel streaming service. They're making a streaming service that has all the content they own, and that makes sense because they own so much that they could have a huge streaming service like that and be a competitor to Netflix and Amazon and Hulu. So far, it's really one of the only newer streaming services I feel like can come out.
But then let me ask you this, and it could also go for Apple too. It's like, if that's the case, and maybe these streaming services come out, they're not that popular, they don't get a lot of traction. Do we see someone like Apple, who may have hits here and there for content they produce in all these other smaller places, do we see them offering eventually kind of, getting, I mean, it's too early to say because obviously these services haven't started yet.
Right.
But
It's all speculation.
It's all speculation, but is it safe to say that we could see them pawning off and selling the content they produce to these other streaming services that have a greater base?
What I think is more likely with Apple TV Plus is I don't see them, like, if they have a little bit of trouble, I don't see them trying to sell their content to other streaming service.
Sell it direct?
I see them trying to make deals with other and get more content on their service. Like, I see them wanting to compete.
True.
So,
Well, they have enough cash to throw around.
That's
so
exactly
so
it.
just
Right,
like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, what they do right now is they make deals with production companies to have their content on their streaming service. I think Apple would do the same thing. I think if they wanted
See,
to
and
really
that's the
compete-
weird thing, though. I think I agree with you. I think they would, because we've seen what they've done. I mean, that's why they bought Beats. Just the brand alone was worth a crap ton.
Yeah.
But I think that's the wrong way to look at it. If that's the problem with Apple now, is let's just go buy something instead of innovate.
Yes.
And the problem there is, I'm like, what you're going to run into is, go out and buy. Hell, they could probably buy Paramount Studios. They could buy, Warner Brothers. They can buy these other things that give Disney a run for their money and say, well, now you can get all that other content here on Apple TV Plus. But at the end of the day, I'm like, well, now it's not even just about adding to the noise. I'm like, are you really offering anything different? Or are you just buying your way out of the problem? I don't know.
Yeah.
I see that as being more of an issue than it being a solution. I don't think that's going to be the right way to handle this if their streaming service fails.
Okay.
No, I agree. It's interesting. I mean, I think we've hit the end of this.
It's all speculation. So
it is all
we're
speculation.
just making stuff
It's
up
just-
now. I don't think it can
I'm
go any
just
further.
I'm just thinking of, like, because right now your big three still are Netflix, Hulu, Amazon.
Yep.
And with the amount of content they each have with all the contract, and yes, Netflix is about to lose a huge chunk to Disney, but they still have
They
so
have
much
plans to make up for that,
Yeah.
though, and that's what I'm saying. Like, they haven't let their subscribers down.
Right.
They're putting movies out like I Am Mother and The Perfection and Beast of No Nation. They're putting these huge, great films out.
Yeah.
And it may only be going to millions of people and not into theaters where hundreds of millions of people can see it, but it's still keeping its subscribers happy. I have never not been happy with Netflix. When I was sending DVDs back in the mail, I wasn't unhappy with Netflix. And there's not a lot that they can do other than slow down the production of new content.
Yes.
That's the only thing that's going to make me want to leave. But as long as they keep doing what they're doing,
which is interesting because it is the
going to
plethora of
Netflix.
content that they
It is.
have that's keeping their subscriber base happy, but that's also the problem they have because that's why they have mountains of debt.
Yeah.
Because they have too much original content, and then there's not enough time for you to even watch it all, and a lot of it's not even appealing. It's got so many fragments.
There's a lot of fat on there that could be trimmed off, and maybe losing some of that fat with Disney
might help.
It may help. It may make the way for new, more refreshing, and more original content, but get rid of some of the old crap.
I don't see Netflix going anywhere anytime soon.
No,
I mean,
not at all.
They keep.
Oh yeah, no.
And it's the thing, because I own Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, and all three of them are actually because I own all three of them because they all offer so much different things. But yeah, they have a pretty solid foundation that I think is gonna be hard for any other service to come in and crack. Like I said, I think Disney has the best chance because they own the most content. But I mean, there's a new Dark Crystal series coming out on Netflix I'm gonna watch. Netflix is still not just. Yeah, they're making original content, but they still also are still getting the rights to make. They have the rights to Narnia now. They're going to have a new Narnia adaptation.
Even Amazon, though. Amazon's something that we don't really talk about Prime Video. But
they've got some
Lord
amazing.
of the Rings is coming out as a series.
Lord of the Rings,
there.
The Dark Tower's coming.
Tower,
that one new show with Carl Urban looks amazing.
The anti-heroes.
The good guys or something like that.
Crap, I forgot what it's called. They beat up the
they're
superheroes.
Yeah, but it looks really good. And I mean, we were just talking with Brian, so I just watched Good Omens on Amazon. And Hulu has they don't really have a lot of original stuff, but
I think the one edge that Netflix has though is even though they have a crap ton of content, I will say I think the one thing that gives them the benefit is that they're very good about pinpointing their fan base. Of many different backgrounds, tons of different fan bases, and pleasing them. Yeah, they're all about being as ruthless as they can be.
We have a question.
Really?
I just want to address.
Okay.
One of our viewers asked, "Would Red Moon sell if Apple came calling?"
Oh man, good question. Yes. Hell yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not Spielberg. I don't give a damn. I'll take as much money as I can.
Yeah, throw me some money.
Throw me a bone. Heck yeah.
Absolutely.
The problem is we got to produce something. Other than this show.
But that actually leads me to another good point that Netflix is because you're talking about how ruthless they are. But they're doing really awesome is just like with the Dark Crystal or with I had another one. They're finding people to create. That's what I was thinking about. Matt Groening, who did Simpsons and Futurama, he made a show specifically for Netflix. They're going to these people that they already know are popular or content's popular, and they're like, "Well, we're going to pay you to make something unique for us." So now instead of just having these original series, they're finding people to make their series as an original series specifically for Netflix, and that's drawing crowds in because people know, I enjoy all the other things he's done on network television, and now instead of it being on network television, you can watch it on Netflix.
Yes,
so, I mean, it's
absolutely. No, I agree. I think at the end of the day, it's a win-win for the streaming services with all these. I mean, that's what's been proven about all this buzz is that with all these different people getting into the game, it's like everybody realizes that a subscription model for this kind of content is becoming key. The question is, with all the streaming services that are now coming out, which ones will stand? And I do think Apple TV Plus, what I really do see them, the route I see them taking is not necessarily buying up studios, but I see them not admitting defeat if the streaming service doesn't pick up enough steam, but adding alternatives whether they got to lump in, Apple News Plus that they have, all these other Apple Music Plus, they'll lump in different services together and make it one, kind of like Xbox Live Gold, where you get now not only just Xbox, but you get PC-based stuff, all these different packages into one monthly price, to sweeten it up. Or they'll just say, you know what? Okay, if you don't want to do the streaming, now we're going to offer it to you direct to consumer. Buy it on our store. It's the only place you can get it, and buy it direct from us. And they'll promote the hell out of it.
Yeah.
They'll push it in your face, whether it's in the App Store or on iTunes or Apple Music, whatever. They'll promote it like crazy, and basically they'll shove it in your face that way. That's how I think Apple Plus, Apple TV Plus is going to make it if they don't have enough subscribers.
Yeah.
They'll offer like a free 30-day subscription. With
Oh,
it.
yeah.
With when you
No
buy
doubt.
your new iPhone, get a free 30-day subscription to Apple TV Plus.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then,
It'll
then
be
you
like
get hooked.
3 months, just like Apple Music.
Yeah,
and
just
then
like they
you're
did.
really just hoping that people forget that
Yeah.
they're subscribed, and then
And then they just keep
get
going.
charged.
Yeah. Just like Apple Music. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is I mean, that's the crazy thing about Apple is that
Yeah.
they have the reach, because it's not just America; it's globally.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the fact that they really were able to come in after Spotify, and in terms of just the U.S. market, they're almost I think it was this year they ended up surpassing Spotify. Spotify still has ridiculous millions of users, but a lot of them are on the free tier, and even with the paid subscribers, they do amount more than Apple Music. But Apple Music, for being a proprietary, music
people
service,
who don't own
it's like
Apple
just because
products
of the
don't
Apple
use-
name,
yeah.
it's ridiculous.
is.
So I mean,
It's good. I use it. I like
yeah.
it.
yeah, I don't mind it at all. But we'll see.
I used to pay for Spotify. I still have Spotify, but now I'm only on the free because I stopped paying
Yeah.
for it and started doing
An Apple.
and
Well, and it's just like we brought up several times on here. It's like, I mean, when you have a certain ecosystem that you use,
Yeah.
and it's like if I have an iPhone and they offer me, if it's like, oh, you buy an iPhone, get 3 months of Apple TV Plus, or
Absolutely.
what? I mean, it's like I may check it out
It's a
then,
hook.
and it's
Yeah.
exactly
well,
it hooks
and,
me
and
in.
now I do think it's. Well, I don't want to get into all. I was going to say losing iTunes and all that. Like I like, but I mean, I'm not going to get into all that right now.
their
But I
new
mean,
strategy.
but
with
yeah,
that.
I do like that. So I do think Apple is, like you said, they've kind of mucked some stuff up in the last few years since jobs have passed. But I do think they are trying to kind of get back to let's plan things out a little bit
Well,
better.
it's weird. I
Yeah.
think they still muck it up when they first come out with something.
Yeah.
But then after they do, they
It's not
kind of get their
as
bearings straight and they iron
fine-tuned.
it out.
Yeah.
And it takes them a while to iron it out, but then eventually they
which
do.
is still frustrating.
It is frustrating because they used to not.
They used to iron it out before,
Before
it
they
released,
launched it. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So with that being said, guys, are y'all ready to move on to our unique weekly segment?
Well, sure.
Oh,
Let's do it, Nan.
oh crap! I gotta hit the button.
Oh, do it.
It's story time, where the podcast members tell their stories.
That's right, guys. Story time. I think we got a good one this week,
I just spit my water everywhere.
and we got that on camera. I
Did you
love
get it?
Ooh, is it on your mic?
Tell me a tale.
Really?
Yeah, tell me a tale.
About what?
A tale or two.
I forgot.
You forgot the lyric?
I forgot the lyric.
I don't remember. Isn't that Gilligan's Island?
A tale or two.
No,
It's
no,
not.
that
It's,
was
20,000
20,000.
Leagues
Yes,
Under
under
the
the
Sea.
sea.
Oh, you know it, Sean.
Whale of a tale, I'll tell you, lad.
Yeah.
A whale of a tale.
You
or
just got to say it
two.
all. See,
Yeah,
you just
how's it
got to
go?
string it all
Something
along.
like
What's
that.
after that?
yeah. I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I don't remember
Yeah.
it. It's a good song,
It is-
though.
Well,
Well,
it's
that
good-
was
it's a
our
good
story
movie.
time
Kirk
segment.
Douglas. Very good.
It is a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He really sang that song, too.
He
It's
did.
awesome.
Oh, is it good?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's on the ship and he's playing a turtle shell as a guitar. It's fantastic.
It's awful.
There's a,
It's
a
not
walrus
awful.
or a seal or
you gotta
something.
watch. It's not awful at all.
No, that's a great movie.
It is.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give that this is a show about movies. So
Yeah.
Movies.
I'll, movies.
What's our story time segment, though?
We came up with it right before the show.
That's how we work.
Yeah,
that's what
everything we do is right off the cuff. Yeah.
Right.
So I think you all will enjoy this. Are you ready
Yeah,
for it?
yeah.
Lay it on us.
Yeah.
All right. Worst memory from a job. What is your worst memory that you can think of from a job that you've had?
You just say bad memory. You
A
always
bad
do,
memory,
You always
right?
do
Well,
worst or
yeah,
best, but I
okay.
never have like specific. I just have a
You're right.
series of
That's fine.
unfortunate.
That's
not,
fine.
not to knock off Lemony Snicket, but I have a series of unfortunate events. So.
That's fine. That's fine. So, okay, bad memory from a job.
You know, I feel like you haven't gone first in a while, Brandon.
That's
I
true.
think Brandon.
I
should
don't
tell-
know yet.
Oh my
I-
goodness!
You all usually spark me.
Oh.
I've got so much other stuff going on
Oh.
here. I can't help it.
Oh, terrible.
You're the one that you said that you
I'm trying to
had
think
one.
of. I have so many. And I'm
Then
trying to
start
think
with
of a
one.
good-
Just do one.
I mean,
we know where they're from. Can we say your
No, I'm not
No.
gonna. I'm not gonna
Pass
name
it.
any. I'm
Can't
not
do
gonna
that.
name any
It wasn't
places.
the company; it was the people he worked
Yeah,
with and for.
I'm not gonna name
That's it.
any. Well, because some of them aren't from that company, anyways. I mean, I
Okay.
have multiple.
Mm.
I mean, when someone who used to only work for a bank and never ran a restaurant in his life buys a restaurant and runs the restaurant into the ground,
Yeah.
you know, that was always that was my first job.
He said that was always right.
Yeah, well, he hired like a chef from, I guess, probably from Sullivan. I mean, this guy thought very high. He is a bigger chef from
I
Louisville.
mean, I don't think you can get more 5-star than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
But I mean, he is, I guess, a bigger chef here in this area. But I mean, he would brag about like, oh, I've trained with, or I knew Emerald or what. I was like, it's like, yeah, you gotta. Well, the only reason you name that, drop that, is because you suck. It's like, like I mean, seriously, you don't.
You're
see
working
Gordon,
in a fast food
I
restaurant,
was like,
man. Come
well,
on.
no, he didn't work there. They hired him to come in and revamp the menu and
Yeah.
train us how to cook certain. Like, I
Cook
mean, I
meatloaf.
trained with this guy for like a week on smoking barbecue. But
So you taught him a thing or two.
no, but
You were his emerald.
it's like you don't see Gordon Ramsay coming in to fix up restaurants and be like, "Yeah, I trained with Emerald. You should listen to me." I
Yeah.
mean, if you're a good chef, you're a good chef. You ain't got to like, you
Drop
know.
someone
what's
else's
the name of
name.
that chef that yells at her? The Hell's Kitchen guy? What is it? I
That's
like
Gordon
him.
Ramsay. I just said
Oh,
it.
he
Yeah.
just said it. All right, my bad.
I enjoy him too, actually.
He's funny and he can cook.
Well, and he's
Taught me how to cook an omelet. I looked that
Did
up on
he?
YouTube. Yeah,
Okay.
I know how to cook an omelet because of him.
Yeah, good.
But
for you.
anyway,
That's
so
amazing.
I can cook an omelet too. Not because of Gordon Ramsay though, just because I know how to do it.
that was it though.
I trained with Emerald. No, that's not it. Okay, that was interesting. Training with him for a week because I'm like, I could look these things up. I don't know. I guess I had one job. I'm definitely not going to name the place now because people this is going to terrify people.
Oh,
Right? Okay.
God.
Let me start by saying restaurants are a lot like and a lot unlike the movie Waiting.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are like always terrified. They're going to mess with my food. That doesn't happen as much as you think. Usually, I mean, it's your job. You don't want to lose your job. You're not going to do something stupid like that. But I'm not saying it doesn't ever happen.
Wow.
I knew well, I'm just saying it's very rare. Most people are very respectful. They're not going to mess with your food. But there are, just like any job, I mean, you got to remember, this is a job. There are deadbeats and terrible employees at every job. I knew this one cook back when I was a cook for somewhere who he was fired, honestly. So just be comforted in knowing that it was not an acceptable thing. But he got fired because him and a server were throwing food at each other through the window because she pissed him off over something. But he used to I didn't witness the one time. Apparently, he dropped a steak on the ground and picked it up and recooked it. So that happened once. But what I witnessed was because this man was great. I mean, talk about like a meth addict before meth was a big thing. Like you could tell
he
was,
made it a big thing.
You could tell like he if there was a drug, he had it. And I mean, and he was filthy, disgusting, and he's sitting there cooking, and he just stops cooking, pulls his shoe off, starts scratching his foot. I'm like, what are you doing, man? The foot itches. Puts his shoe back on, and then goes back to handling the food. And I'm like, dude, that's gross. Like, go wash your hands or something. Like, don't touch people's stuff like after you just scratched your nasty foot.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I mean that was So
Has Neil ever ate at that restaurant?
maybe I don't think so. Not when
He's got a thing about feet.
not
He
when
might
this
like it.
not when this guy was there. And of course, like I said, he was fired because he was.
Was he fired
piece of
because of that
trash.
incident?
No, he's fired.
I don't
because
think
of the food.
No, he was fired.
Is that
For,
it?
I don't think
Yeah.
management ever knew about that one. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm sure if they did, he would have. Yeah. That's not even my worst story. That's just.
Oh my
that's just a
gosh, we're
little-
getting to the tip
No,
of the
that
iceberg.
was-
Well, we'll get
that
back
was
to
just
you.
yeah. Let's
We'll
go
get back.
around.
I was gonna say-
I could share. I mean,
Yeah,
the
you
restaurant's
got-
an interesting business.
It is.
It is.
Sounds
I
like
It
agree.
is.
I had a little time in the restaurant biz. A little bit of time.
Oh, you
My-
got good stories. I remember some of these.
Actually, that'd be great if you could remind me some.
Oh, I mean, I don't want to name drop your old boss from one you from.
Subway?
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I'll
you
drop
mentioned
Subway. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll say I love Subway. It was a good job, but man, Sunil.
Oh man, he
I don't
dropped
care.
dropping
Dang,
names.
I don't even know that was his real name. In fact, actually, one great story was it was just some of the things you do as high schoolers. It's not even that great a story. It's just like I enjoyed. Well, this is supposed to be bad memories, not work. But there was one guy we had that worked there, and his name, he started working there, tall, lanky guy, barely knew any English, and he
That's
just
every
spoke.
Subway.
Yeah, true. I mean,
Yeah,
they're all Indian. I mean, you can't help it. But like spoken broken English, and we were like, hey man, so what is your name? Like trying to get to know him. He's like, Jignesh. Name is Jignesh. And we're like, what kind of name is that? And so we looked at him and we're like, nah, we're not gonna call you Jignesh. Like, we can't do that. So he was like, oh, okay, well, what do you want to call me? And we're like, call you Carl. So Jignesh became Carl.
I have a funny Carl story as well.
Oh, you knew a Carl?
No, we named a kid Carl because
See, I don't know why.
we had a guy named Matt that worked with us, and then like I mean I'd probably been working there about 2 years, and Matt had been there longer than me, so he'd been there for a while. And then they hired some other kid, like this newer, younger kid named Matt, and he's like, it's like, well, we can't have two Matts. It's too confusing. You're gonna be Carl. So
there you
so,
go.
yeah, so
Exactly.
Apparently, that's what you name people when you don't want to call them by their real name.
But no, I did like Sunil was he was a nice guy, but it definitely came to heads. Was not my worst job ever. I actually liked working at Subway, depending on who I was working with. My friend Brittany from high school, Brittany Vincent, you know her, Keith.
I do.
Fantastic. She was the one that got me the job there. She was fun
That
to
was
work
nice of
with.
her.
Yeah, and I mean, I had a great time. Good way to spend senior year working on a job. I started
Making
out
sandwiches for people.
exactly making sandwiches
For the girls you love.
Did you make them good? I mean, did you put the meat on them, or did you do just the bare minimum?
I had people asking for me. They were like,
They knew Brandon.
I want him to
yeah.
make my sandwich, and I was like, I felt honored.
That's good.
Because I'm telling you, here was the rule. The rule at Subway, no lie, when they asked for black olives, on a 6-inch you're supposed to put 3, and on a footlong you're supposed to put 6. No more than that.
That's crazy.
I'm serious. And then if they asked for extra, you charge them. Literally, it was like, I think double the price, which was like 75 cents, and you literally had to put like 3 more on there on a 6-inch, or 3 more or 6 more on a footlong. God
dang.
That was no. When people came through for me, oh yeah, I loaded them up. Okay, I would take handfuls and just like sprinkle them on there, and they'd be like, "Yeah, that's the way I like it." I'm telling you, man, they would. They'd ask for me.
That is
And
ridiculous. I mean, like,
it's
what's the
stupid.
point of putting the olives on there? You're like
Exactly.
6 olives.
That's 25 cents an olive.
Exactly.
That's nuts.
So there was this one time though, and it's not a worst memory, but it just kind of shows you the type of person Sunil is. And I'm gonna call him out because I was 16 years old and I felt prideful. But I made this sandwich. It was for this, like, I think it was a fireman, policeman, or whatever came through the line. And so we get to the end, we get to the checkout, and I'm ringing him up or whatever, and I go ahead, and Sunil's just watching me. I don't even know why he was there. I think he was just, like, closing down for the night, and so he was up there at that time. And so he's just watching over my shoulder, and, like, I ring him up senior discount. It's clearly the guy's not a senior discount. He's, like, 30 years old tops. So I get done, he walks away, and Sunil just has the audacity. He's just like, why you give him senior discount? And I said, because, Sunil. I said, he's a policeman. We care about our first responders. And I was like, he gave me this look like, and he goes, okay. I mean, he did
Can't
not
argue with
refute it.
that.
Yeah. And so it was like, I just like, I don't know where I got so ballsy to do that. But it was seriously like, I wanted to I was like, pay him some respect.
Yeah.
And so if a person in uniform came through the line, I gave him a senior discount without him knowing about it. It was the first time. I wasn't going to hide it from him.
Yeah. And
But
what
it was
was
the
it,
first time he caught me.
10%?
Right. It was
I
like
mean,
a 10%.
Come on.
And we even had an old guy who come through, always get a cold cut, never have it cut. He had it like just the whole cold cut block. And he just like lay it on the sub. He didn't want it cut at all. And then he'd get to the end. He had a very specific way of doing it. And he'd get to the end of the line and he'd be like, he's like, I want chips and a drink and my senior discount. And like he'd mumble it that way every time. But he was adamant, and he made sure he got his senior discount.
Yeah.
But it's like, I remember I'd have to like fight with Sunil. There were times where it was like we were staying extra. He'd try to clock us out so that we weren't getting paid, even though we were staying cleaning. And we were like, you're closing down the register. Like you're trying to clock us out.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we ain't flying there. And so, when we caught wind of that, and we told him like we were, being held more responsible for certain things. Like I was like, I want to raise. Like it was kind of the first time that I felt a little bit liberated and a little bit more like,
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not going to take this laying down.
That's
Like,
right.
I'm going to fight.
I'm gonna
for
fight
my-
the man.
That's right. And so I fought Sunil. And actually, he, last day of work there, I just, was coming to into my senior year, and I was like, I was moving on, and I just, I was doing my job like normal, and he came up to me, he shook my hand, and he said, "You're a good employee. You ever need the job, you come back here." And I was like, "All right, man, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Thank
That's
you."
right.
You
got
know,
something to fall back on when
It-
Red Moon falls through.
You can
Trust
always
me,
be a Subway sandwich maker.
right.
Yeah, we're about to get to that point.
Yeah.
But no, which that wasn't really a worse job. It's just
No.
the normal everyday hassle you have. I mean,
Yeah, hassle.
Sean, what about you, buddy?
What about you, buddy?
I've worked a lot of different jobs, and I've got stories for all of them, but it's too many to go through. But I mean, I can definitely. I remember one of the most difficult or just off-putting things that I've had to do is I've gotten somebody fired, and I didn't have to fire them, but I was the one who basically got them fired. But I worked for Lowe's for several years, and there was a guy that worked there. His name was also Sean, and he knew my girlfriend at the time, and it was kind of like we became buddies at Lowe's, and when we would close together, it was pretty fun because we were all over the place on forklifts and cherry pickers, and tossing lawnmowers from the top shelf down to him, and I mean, it was we had like an hour to run free around the store because it was closed, and we would do stupid things, race forklifts, and we used to do this thing where you'd put a quarter in the parking lot and try to flip the quarter up with the blade of the forklift, and it can be done. And it's pretty cool. But we did a lot. I mean, we had a good time together. And I don't know why he did it, but one day at work, he had to clean the bathroom, and the store manager made him go do it. And he put super glue on one of the toilet seats in the men's bathroom, and an old man sat on the toilet seat and got his ass stuck to the toilet seat.
Are you serious?
Dead serious. And he came back to my department and, was giggling and everything. And he bragged about it.
Yeah.
He told me about it and was just, "Oh, you're not going to believe what I just did." And, of course, we had managers running past our department, running down the aisle to the bathroom. And he was just like, "Oh, my God, like he's actually stuck." And the poor old guy, like literally, it was bad. Like they had to use paint thinner and get him off of the toilet seat, and he was about to sue. Like it was crazy.
Yes.
Like he was threatening that and all. I mean, it was crazy. And the poor old guy was very feeble and everything. I mean, it was sad. And he came back bragging about it and everything. So I found my zone manager after Sean clocked out or whatever, and I told him, I was like, "I know who did the thing in the bathroom. He actually came and bragged about it," and I was like, "He's my friend, but seriously, it can't go
past that.
It can't go unnoticed."
That's too severe.
So
Yeah.
I told him about it, and I mean they fired him the next morning, and I actually told him that I was the one who turned him in. Like he came over and he's just like, "Man, I don't know what the F is going on," or somebody ratted me out, and I was like, "I did." And I was just like, we've had a lot of fun together. And this guy was way bigger than me, too. Like, huge. I was thinking, I'm going to get my butt kicked. And it's kind of fun. He looked like Superman. Like he had the facial structure of Superman and had like a curl right here. I'll tell you who he looked like. He looked like Steven Crowder. Like exactly like Steven Crowder. It's crazy. But I did. I had to tell him. I was just like, "Dude, what you did was too far. We've done some stupid stuff. And you could tell on me, but it's nothing that would get me fired." And I'm like, "What you did was wrong, and it hurt somebody."
Well, yeah,
and
that's when a prank goes too far.
I did. I was just like,
Exactly,
it's not. We haven't pranked anybody. We've done some stupid crap, but
It wasn't going
but
to hurt
yeah, that was
somebody,
one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do in a job was get a friend fired. And he was a good worker, but it was just what he did was stupid, and it couldn't go unpunished. So he got fired. I worked for Brinks for a while. We used to, I used to drive money from Brinks to the Federal Reserve in Cincinnati, and $40 million every day, just about. on a
On the
semi
back of
truck,
it.
and then
Heck,
I drove the chase truck, which was the truck that followed them
Yeah.
to make sure nobody screwed with them. So we would go down underground. This was one of my funnest memories from work. But we would go down underground and like stories underground underneath the Federal Reserve. I'm not gonna tell you how, but we did.
Yeah.
And we'd load the money in there. It'd take them about 3 or 4 hours to count it, and then they would issue some receipts, give us our carrying carts, and we'd leave and go back to Louisville. But we would sit down there just playing Game Boys and talking about how we would steal this money. So we were sitting in this waiting room, and I mean, we're not stupid. They got cameras on us. They're listening to us, and one of the Federal Reserve guards is like in a booth over next to us, and we're talking about. We're like, yeah, we could, pull off on the side of the road, and one of us would probably have to take a bullet. We had bulletproof vests, so it was like one of us can get shot in the chest, and it's gonna hurt like hell.
What movie is it? It's like that. What's that one movie
we
with
we were trying to like
where they steal the Brinks truck or whatever? What movie is that? Gosh, they got Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah.
in it.
I know what you're
talking
talking about.
Yeah, it's based on a real story.
Oh yeah,
A true story. I forget what it's called.
yeah. I can't.
Janice. Yeah,
That's a comedy. But
Yeah,
we had it down. We knew where we were going to do it. We knew. I mean, it was all that. We just talk about it for fun. Every day it was like, well, no, if we did it this way, this could happen. Well, the Federal Reserve Guard like comes in on the microphone, and he's like, shh. No, if you did it that way, they'd be. So he started joining in. So like every day that we were there, if it was that guy's shift, like he would be chiming in through this bulletproof glass window, and he'd just be up on the microphone, and he'd be telling us, no,
That's how you really got to do it.
Yeah, you'd have to do this, and you'd have to change license plates, and you'd have to drive the truck somewhere and hide it, and I mean, it was just like. It was really fun, but it was a good way to waste 4 hours of time while they counted these millions of dollars. But I've had a lot of different interesting jobs, and I think every job has so many. Like you've got good stories, and you've got those like bad and just terrible stories.
Yeah.
But one thing, even though we have both, it's good to know that even though there were bad stories, at least you have stories. Like you have. Memories and things that you've had from every different job, and you can use all of those to propel you through whatever you're going to do next.
A difference between like that idea of like a bad thing that happens on a job, and sometimes there's just things that you hate doing on a job, but they later on you kind of talk about them.
I've been fired from jobs, and it's like the things that got you fired, you're pissed about, but then you learn from those mistakes, and then in the next job you don't make those mistakes,
right.
And it's. So,
or you just double down.
Or you double down like a good Democrat. Double down on whatever stupidity you've done.
No, but I will say that I think it was funny because you were talking about forklifts and like or just being in a warehouse. Well, I will definitely say real quick, last story from me, Keith. I know you probably got one more good one. But
you got a good one.
Shaft. But no, I worked at UPS. My senior year in college, and boy, oh boy, was that like, I'm telling you, there's grueling work in the words of like, okay, that could be your worst memory of like just how freaking difficult a job can be. But no, worst memory on that was like every Friday night, we would have to do. It was when I used to work. It's called the ramp. You'd go out and you'd load the bellies of planes or load the top of the planes and packages. A lot of times it was, that wasn't hard at all. Sometimes when it's in the summer or something, it's night.
Yeah.
It's actually cool outside. It's not too bad at all. But it's like everyone, it was still labor, but it was probably the easiest kind of labor you could have out there in that kind of gig. Then they have the hub job, which is inside where you're taking packages off belt loaders and feeding them into 18-wheelers. Top to bottom, front to back. Well, most 18-wheelers are not, depending on where they're going, are not filled top to bottom, front to back. But New York is every Friday night. And literally 2 people were picked on our crew. And because seniority always ran out, or ran its course because you were in a union job. So we were 2 of us, me and this other guy, Jonathan, were the low guys on the totem pole. would always get picked to go to the hub on Friday nights and have to load New York because there were only 2 other people that got picked from the ramp to go in, and they were 2 girls. And the supervisor in there thought it was cruel to make the girls load it. So me and Jonathan got stuck every Friday night.
Man.
Loading.
I wish you were working that job in 2019.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be that way.
Yeah, no, not at all. But no, it's like I just remember it being so freaking. I mean, it was the reason I was gonna keep that job for a little. It paid for my college tuition. I can't, say that was the one reason it was worth sticking it out. It paid for my senior year of college, which was wonderful. It really was not that bad a deal at all. But it was the one thing that kept me from continuing after I graduated. I was going to stay on and just pick it up as extra side cash because it was only like 3 hours a night, part-time. I was like, it's third shift, but still, it was worth it. Decent money. And I just, having to do that, though, even once a week on Friday, I was like, no, can't do this. It was grueling. I hated it. It was literally from the moment you walked in, 3 hours straight, I'm no lying, just picking up boxes constantly, stacking them. And sometimes it'd be light, sometimes it'd be heavy. It sucked every freaking night. So that right there alone, by far, one of my worst memories. And a supervisor we had, Stephanie, name dropping, she was awful. Just going to say that.
He likes to drop the
I've
name.
got another real quick one that I'll throw in there since we're going for like worst, like disgusting kind of jobs that we hated. I worked for a company in Elizabethtown called CAPS, and they're basically like a probation office.
Okay.
So people who got in trouble for driving drunk or having marijuana possession or whatever, they had to come to this place, pay restitution to somebody else's car they damaged or somebody's mailbox they hit, or they had to get drug tested. And this company had all women working for it, and the manager of that branch in Elizabethtown said, we got to hire a male because we can't keep having females going in to watch the men pee in a cup for their drug test. So we have to have a male in there. So they put out an ad, made it sound like this awesome desk job. You're going to be collecting checks and processing paperwork. And I was like, sure, I'll do that. So I do that, and literally, probably 6 times a day, I had to go into the bathroom with another dude, watch him pull his wang out, because you have to look.
You have to see.
You have to make sure it's not a fake pecker or someone else's pee. Because I'm
They're
telling
pulling
you,
it out of their
people get online and order prosthetic penises with bags of urine and can make it. And I'm not joking. They look like the real thing.
Yeah.
So you had to you had to reach out and touch it and feel it, make sure it's real. No, I'm just kidding. But you did have to watch, and it's very, very disgusting. Like, I don't like to pee in a urinal, okay? Because,
really?
Oh, no, I hate using the urinal.
I like it.
I don't like it. And
I don't mind
it doesn't have the walls
Yeah,
that come
I
all
agree.
the
You
way
feel a
out.
little bit
Disturbs
exposed.
me
I'm
with
like,
how
I don't want to
how
see.
genuine I like
Yeah.
it. Like,
I
it's
like,
like,
I
here's the
like
thing.
it. I like to look.
I like pushing up.
Don't even say it. Don't say it.
I'm not
Don't
going
touch
to.
the porcelain. But no, I don't want to see another guy's junk. And,
I
this
agree.
job required me to do that about 6 or 7 times a day. And it was
Gosh.
so.
so you've seen a lot of
terrible.
wangs.
I don't
in
even.
your
a lot of
I don't even
dicks.
see my own junk that
No.
much. I mean, come on.
That's because your belly's covered it up. I'm just kidding. No, that was the suckiest job I've ever had.
Yeah. You didn't
But,
tell us about that
literally,
part.
I had to sit there and watch, and it was just like, it's always. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be racist, but it's a lot of black dudes. I mean, it was marijuana possession. It's what it was.
Which is
I'm
why we're
just
trying to
saying.
get that law
It's the truth.
changed.
We're trying to
okay?
get it changed, and
Yeah.
they'd just be like, "Man, what you looking at? Boy, take your eyes off my dick." Like, they're just talking to you the whole time. Like, dude, there's nothing I can do about it.
I'm sorry,
literally,
man.
I
I
have to shut
to
the
do
door
this.
and I have to
Right.
watch you.
Right.
Like, that's part of your restitution. I'm breaking the law if I don't do it.
Right.
And I'm just like, I couldn't do it. Like, I just couldn't do it.
After a while, how long did you work there?
Thank God I got fired. Like, finally, it was just I
you
did.
touched one, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
You
No,
yeah,
I promise.
you did. You saw one you liked.
No, I didn't. They flat out one day, and I was like, they created the position because they needed a man in there, and then it was like I went in, was getting ready to go to work one morning, and they literally called and was like, we're eliminating this position or whatever, and downscaling the branch or whatever, and
That was it.
You're the last one in, so you're the first one out.
Yeah,
and I
makes
was like,
sense,
thank
right?
you, Jesus. Like it was
I'm
like
glad
terrible.
to be gone.
I hated it.
Yeah.
That was the worst job I've ever had. Honestly.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Like, a lot of good stuff there. See, and we were all doubting this segment. I'm just saying, we were all kind of like, I don't have any stories. I think we came up with a pretty
we
good batch
all
there.
have stories.
That was
to
good.
tell.
I have plenty of dick stories.
Yeah. Well, that'll be a different story time segment.
I'm gonna have a new one next week.
Okay.
Because next week we're
Is relationships.
no, next week is Lake Trip
Oh.
2019.
Lake Trip. Oh, I'm so glad that you brought that up, Sean.
So we need to make announcements.
We do. So next week, guys, everybody out there listening or watching in radio/TV
and
land,
learn and hear.
that's right. We are going to be on at a special time next week. Same time, different day. So 9 p.m. next Tuesday.
Tuesday night.
Next Tuesday night.
Tuesday.
Yeah,
On a
it's the other
Tuesday.
weeknight that starts with a T.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's
not
easy to
Thursday,
remember.
but Tuesday. Next week. On Tuesday night at 9 p.m., you can catch the Red Moon Podcast.
Eastern.
9 p.m. Eastern,
Yeah.
Facebook Live, YouTube Live. It's because we're going to the lake.
We're going
And we're
out
having
town.
our traditional year
12th?
12th?
No.
You're all's 13th.
Yeah.
It's
no.
my 12th. You're all's 13th.
2007. 2007.
No,
Yeah.
It's 2000. It's 12 because this is my 12th anniversary, and the first time we went was for my bachelor party.
Yeah. 2007 to 2019.
I missed like 2 years, I think.
You
then.
missed a year, I think.
I did?
You missed a couple.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So this
I'm
is
out of it.
12 years. It's like 11 for you.
It's 11 for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's 11, yeah. So 11 years that we've been doing this consecutively.
12 years.
Yes.
That's crazy. 12 for you all, 11 for me. But that's insane. We over a decade that we've been doing this.
Yes.
Over a decade.
Decade.
We're aiding the decks.
Yes.
Yes. So next week, because we're going on our yearly lake trip, we are going to be doing a show Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, YouTube, Facebook Live, like normal, but on Tuesday night. So watch for us then.
Watch.
But if you do have a question and you're just, craving some more,
What if you have a story of something bad that happened to you at work?
right.
Something like that. You can share it.
Absolutely.
How would they share it?
I don't know, Keith. How would they share it?
Well, I would assume, which you're not supposed to do, but I'm going to do it anyways, that you could email us at rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
Absolutely.
Wow. Say that one more time.
rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
Thank you for slowing it down because I am handicapped.
Really, Sean? Are you?
I have ADD.
You do?
Yeah.
But what about you, Sean? Could you repeat that? I didn't quite hear Keith. It was slow, but it was mumbling.
RMPodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
Fantastic. RMPodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
Just in case you didn't hear it the other 3 times.
So until I'm one of your oh gosh. We already had so many glitches on this show.
Meat
so I
coma
figured-
is beginning.
It began a long time ago. So one of our viewers was like, "You guys look tired."
Just a little slug.
Yeah.
Just a little
Just a little
sluggish.
But you know what? It's been a fantastic episode. I hope you all
That
have
it
enjoyed
has.
it out there.
Yes.
So until next time, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and
Keith Cheatham.
that's it. You have stopped your random sayings.
I know, because we're supposed to wrap up
with we'll see you at the movies.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.